Who was a potential suspect? Were there multiple suspects? And what was the motive for this shooting? We know that it wasn't just the bite of Seattle taking place down there by the Space Needle at Seattle Center. We know that there were multiple events, 3 of them, the largest of which was the food event that features food and drinks from local chefs. It brings out thousands of people, potentially over 100,000 people out there today just for that. On top of that, you have 2 other events, a sculpture walk and a visual arts festival also happening in the area, plus all the other tourists or locals who might have been out there enjoying their Sunday evening. So, of course, we have team coverage tonight. King 5 Sharon Yu is live outside Harborview Medical Center with an update on the response over there and the victims who were transported to the hospital. But we're going to start with King 5 Sebastian Robertson, who's in the area where the shooting occurred. Sebastian, what's the latest out there?
Hi, Madeline. That tragic update from the Seattle Fire Department that 2 people are dead, 5 are wounded, really validates the stories that we've been hearing from witnesses, from workers that were here at the Bite of Seattle in those moments after the shooting. So this happened just after 6 p.m. We heard similar accounts from many people saying that they heard several pops in succession. At first, they thought it was fireworks, but very quickly the energy shifted and it was just an absolute dash for the exits. To set the scene here, this is a very popular event. It was shoulder to shoulder with people during that shooting. So it was just pure chaos as people were trying to get to the exits. That's how it was described to me by one of the witnesses. Behind me, we have just a massive crime scene here that stretches for several city blocks to the Space Needle, to north of Mopop, and all the way west. This area is totally locked down. We spoke to several people who were here when that shooting happened. Take a listen to their account of this really scary scene.
Machine gun just went off. Out of Seattle. Oh my God. Get the heck out of here. Whoa.
People started running right away, like running. I mean running. It was stampede. So instead of like running with them, we waited because I didn't know what was going on because everyone was running every direction.
It went from sounds and then once the crowd started moving, like you could tell there was an active danger, I would say. It was like brr, brr.
So I started grabbing like kids, moms, dads, like anyone that needed help. I started tossing them over. Just everyone crying everywhere.
So just utter chaos after those shots were fired and the rush to get out of here. We heard so many people describing that. We know that Seattle Police, crime scene investigators, gang unit, King County Sheriff, as well as representatives of the FBI and ATF are on scene. We have yet to get any official update from the Seattle Police Department or the mayor's office. We're told that that will happen at some point this evening because the biggest unanswered question at this point is the shooter. Is there more than one? Was there one shooter? Is somebody in custody? Is the shooter among the wounded? These are all questions that go unanswered tonight as people are processing what did happen here. Back to you.
Thank you, Sebastian. That was a live look at the scene out there and his perspective. We are getting reaction coming in from all across the state. We have just received this statement from Governor Bob Ferguson, and it is about, of course, the shooting today at Seattle Center. It says, I am receiving briefings regarding the ongoing response to the tragedy at the Seattle Center. The Washington State Patrol SWAT team is on the way to assist at the request of the Seattle Police Department. Please continue to avoid the area. If you are in the area, please follow directions from law enforcement. My prayers are with the families of the victims and the responders as they work to keep people safe. Of course, we are continuing to encourage you to avoid that area. Do not approach, as this investigation is expected to be active for quite some time. There's the FBI on the scene, in addition to Seattle Police, a heavy police presence. And as they investigate, of course, we are also learning more about the victims. 2 people died in this shooting, and 5 people were injured. 4 of those victims, one of them was only minor, so the remaining 4, they were transported to Harborview Medical Center, and that is where we find our reporter Sharon Yu. She joins us live outside. Sharon, I understand the hospital might be on lockdown.
Yeah, Madeline, just in the past 5 minutes or so, the police presence that was pretty heavy all throughout the evening has now drawn back. You can see behind me The police officers that used to be standing out here, there were at least a dozen out here earlier. They're all gone. Some of the squad cars have left. No official word yet from anybody from UW Medicine saying that the lockdown has been lifted, but we are noticing a smaller police presence here with some security officers now just kind of guarding the doors at this hour. We know, like you said, Madeline, 4 people have been transported here to Harborview Medical Center. The 2-year-old boy, a 23-year-old man, and a 39-year-old woman were all brought here. They're currently in satisfactory condition. We're also told that a 56-year-old woman was also brought here, and she is undergoing surgery right now. So we will have to wait a couple of hours to find out her situation and how she is doing. Another woman, 40-year-old woman, was also injured at the scene, but she declined to be brought here because her injuries were deemed to be minor. Again, just in the last 5 minutes, the police presence that used to be heavy here for the past 2 hours or so has lifted. A lot of the officers are leaving for now. They were on lockdown for several hours because it was just a measure that they took out of an abundance of caution because they weren't sure if they were looking for any additional shooters and if they would have to anticipate anybody coming here. So, but that has seemed to change. We will, of course, bring you more updates about whether this official lockdown has ended. Of course, we'll bring you those details when we have them. Back to you.
Thank you so much. That was Sharon Yu reporting outside of Harborview Medical Center, where 4 of the victims were transported in the aftermath of this shooting. And joining us now, we have our King 5 law enforcement analyst, former King County Sheriff John Urquhart. Thank you so much for being here. I'm hoping that you can put us into the perspective, into the shoes of investigators on the scene. They are running toward potential danger in a situation like this, and now they're still there and are expected to be there for quite some time for this investigation. What's that like from your perspective?
Well, certainly the first responders, the patrol officers that were first on the scene, they ran towards the shooter. Their whole job is to, and their first job is to eliminate that shooter. Either they take him into custody or they kill him. Really as simple as that. And that renders the scene safe, and find out if there's any more shooters. Now that they've got the scene locked down, which they apparently have now, they've had 3 hours to do that, then the detectives come in, assisted by the FBI and ATF. Sounds like the State Patrol is going to come. Probably won't have an active role. I would expect that they will be on perimeter duty to kind of free up some of their officers. They need to go back to their districts in Seattle. And they start at the outside and work their way in, because they don't want to miss a key piece of evidence, which could be anywhere by now, and they want to make sure they can find as many witnesses as they can. And one thing that's going to happen, I think, is there's going to be a lot of cell phone video. There always is. But people went home. A lot of people didn't stick around, but they're going to have that, and they're going to need to contact the Seattle Police Department in the coming days if they have information that might help.
Yeah, there's so many pieces of evidence, of course. I mean, shell casings, and then you have the cell phone video, surveillance video. I'm anticipating that might be something they would dig into as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. We live in a video age now, and it really helps the police, that's for sure, when they try to solve these crimes and figure out what happened, what really happened. And again, as we've talked about many times tonight, what the motive is. That's going to be key into finding out what happened and why.
We can't sugarcoat the fact that this happened at Seattle Center, one of the busiest campuses in our city. And there were thousands of people shoulder to shoulder out there. What is your take on the fact that something to this scale, a mass shooting, took place at a place like that?
Well, it's horrifying. It really is horrifying. And Seattle has been pretty much immune from mass shootings. We really haven't had any that I can remember anyway. Certainly not like this. We've had multiple victims, but not a mass shooting where there was apparently a situation where one or more individuals shot into a crowd or shot at each other, perhaps, in a crowded situation. Doesn't really matter because there were innocent victims of this particular shooting. So we've been lucky so far, but it was bound to happen, and it happened tonight on a nice summer night, on a Sunday night, with hundreds of thousands of people probably in the center of Seattle.
And we've been showing you this video. That new video you were just watching shows one of the fences that has been trampled when people tried to run out of there all at once. And that to me is such a powerful visual of what that must have been like, the thousands of people that were all trying to leave, trying to escape what they realized was a shooting in progress.
So far, we don't have any video of the chaos, and I heard somebody use the word stampede, which is a really good descriptor, but we do have the pictures of that fence, and that tells us a lot. It's a visual representation of the panic, the chaos, the stampede that happened as a result of this shooting.
Yeah, we're getting another look here, and there you can see pieces of the fence on the ground, almost looks like a debris field out there. You can just see how clearly that was a direction many people tried to run at once.
They went
to
through,
get out.
They went over it and through that fence, obviously.
To get to safety. Now, of course, this is, for this to happen at Seattle Center on such a vast campus, I wanted to get your take on this, just knowing the layout of Seattle Center. Do you think that helped people escape, or did it pose any obstacles?
Well, there are so many entrances and exits from the Seattle Center. It probably helped from that standpoint. It's not like something that might happen in a stadium where where it's more confined, the exits are confined. This is we've all been there. This is a big place with lots and lots of big, wide exits and entrances because there's no admission. Anybody can go in there. It's a place to go and relax. You've got the fountain, you've got the Space Needle, you've got the Glass Museum, you've got the Rock and Roll Museum. You got all kinds of things in there. The Pavilion, Fisher Pavilion, all of those in a really a big central area, like the equivalent of what Central Park would be for New York, obviously on a smaller scale.
Right.
But it's a gathering place, not only for people that live in the Northwest, city of Seattle, but tourists as well.
Of course.
We've got the cruise ships and everything else.
Well, I have so many more questions I want to ask you, but that's all we have time for right now. Thank you so much. That is former King County Sheriff and King 5 law enforcement analyst John Urquhart joining us tonight, and we'll be hearing from you later. Thank you so much for taking time. Now, due to the shooting, of course, they've encouraged everybody to leave the area. They had to evacuate. Do not approach Seattle Center. And also, as a result of that, the Seattle monorail is shut down for the rest of the night. Officials say the monorail will reopen tomorrow morning at 7:30, but until then, the monorail is closed for the rest of the evening. And you can stay up to date on this developing story anytime right here. We're going to be live on King 5, but you can also download our app and watch from anywhere. That, of course, is available for download on your TV or your phone for free. We'll be right back.